Okay, let's just get right into it. If you've been studying English for, I don't know, months, maybe even years, but you still freeze up when someone asks you a simple question, I really need you to hear this. You are not the problem. It's never been you. The problem is the way you're learning. And you know what? Today, we're going to fix that. So let me tell you a story about someone, let's call her Maria. She spent 7 years studying English. Seriously, 7 years. She could read books, she could watch Netflix without any subtitles. Her vocabulary was huge. But then, one day, she's in a real meeting, her boss turns to her and asks a simple question, and nothing. She just panicked. Her mind went totally, completely blank. Couldn't get a single word out. Does that feeling ring a bell? That sudden, just awful freeze where your brain just shuts down. If you're nodding your head right now, I want you to know you are not alone. And you are in exactly the right place, because we're about to figure out exactly why this happens, and more importantly, what we can do about it. You see, this whole problem, this cycle, I call it the fluency trap. It's this mindset that almost all of us fall into. And honestly, it's the single biggest wall between you and speaking English with real confidence. And here's where it all begins. Most of us learn English the exact same way we learned math in school, right? We memorize rules, we stare at grammar tables, we fill out exercises in workbooks. We treat it like this academic subject where the goal is just to get all the right answers. But here is the fundamental truth, the one thing that has to click. English isn't math. It's not a subject you just study for a test. English is a skill. Like playing the guitar or riding a bike. It's something you build through doing. And that little shift in thinking, well, it changes absolutely everything. And that brings us to the real heart of the issue, the massive difference between learning about English and actually using English. Because, believe me, they are not the same thing at all. Think about it like this. Imagine you want to learn to swim. So you read every single book ever written about swimming, you watch hours and hours of YouTube videos on the perfect freestyle stroke, you could even memorize the physics of buoyancy. But after all of that study, if I push you in the pool, can you swim? No, of course not. Because knowing about swimming is a totally different thing from the actual physical skill of swimming. The only way you learn is by jumping in the water. And English is exactly the same. This difference is actually kind of hardwired in our brains. When you study, you're training the analytical part of your brain, the part that thinks about rules and structures. But when you speak, you're building a totally different skill, the ability to use the language automatically, without even thinking about it. And this leads to another really dangerous illusion. You watch a movie, you listen to a podcast, and hey, you understand most of it, so you feel like you're getting better. But understanding is passive. Your brain is just receiving information. Speaking, on the other hand, is active. Your brain has to create sentences from scratch in real time. Practicing one just doesn't build the other. And this is how that fluency trap gets you. You feel that fear of making a mistake, right? So what do? You go back to studying more grammar rules. But the more rules you study, the more you overthink every single word. And all that overthinking just paralyzes you, which makes your fear of speaking even worse. And boom. You're stuck in this loop, just going in circles, never actually getting better at speaking. So the big question is, how do we break out of this? Well, it all starts with a new, kind of radical philosophy. We have to learn to embrace imperfect practice. Now, if you remember one thing from all of this, let it be this. The only way to get good at speaking is to be willing to speak badly first. There is no other way. You have to give yourself permission to be a messy, imperfect, mistake-making human. Just think back for a second. When you were a little kid learning your first language, did you worry about grammar? Of course not. You made thousands of mistakes. You said things that were completely wrong, and your parents probably celebrated every single attempt. That's the natural way to learn. We have to completely change our goal. See, the purpose of language isn't to be grammatically perfect. It is not a test. The real goal is just connection. It's about understanding another person and having them understand you. That's it. That's the whole game. And hey, let me tell you a little secret. Native speakers, we're not perfect, not even close. We make grammar mistakes constantly. We forget words, we say and we talk in these messy, incomplete sentences. Real conversation isn't a textbook, It's human. Okay, so what does this all mean for you? Right now, today, it means it's time to take action. It's time for the final and most important step. You have to speak before you feel ready. I want you to completely flip your approach on its head. Stop studying first and hoping that one day you'll magically feel ready to speak. Spoiler alert, that day is never going to come. Instead, you need to speak first. And then, only then, use studying as a tool to fix the specific problems you run into. So, the new method is really simple. Number 1, speak from day 1, even if you only know 50 words. 2, focus on communication, not on being perfect. And 3, when you get stuck on something, great. Use that as your signal to go study that one specific point. That way, your learning is actually relevant and it sticks. And always remember this. The people who truly become fluent, they're not always the smartest or the ones who know the most grammar. They are simply the ones who put in the hours, the ones who practice speaking the most. Fluency is a direct result of action, not knowledge. So here is your challenge. It's a small one, I promise. I want you to commit right now to speaking English for just 5 minutes today. It doesn't matter if you're just talking to yourself in your room. Describe what's on your desk. Talk about how you're feeling. Just start moving your mouth and building that muscle. The gap between where you are now and where you want to be, it isn't filled with more knowledge. It's filled with more practice. It's filled with a little bit of courage. So I'll just leave you with this one final thought. What is one thing you will say in English today? Go do it. Your future fluent self is waiting for you.